In May 2007, a storm hit the streets of Detroit, not from the sky, but from the FBI. Operation Block and Spoke unleashed one of the largest crackdowns on a motorcycle club in American history at the time. Over 150 agents swarmed clubhouses, arresting dozens of men and seizing weapons, drugs, and secrets. At the center of it all, the Detroit Highwaymen Motorcycle Club. Feared as Detroit's most notorious outlaw bikers, the Highwaymen were accused of trafficking guns, running drugs, bribing officials, and silencing enemies by any means necessary. Names like Jack Fat Dog Lucero and Gary Jr. Ball Jr. dominated headlines. But how did this shadow organization rise to power? This is the full story. The rise, the reign, and the fall of the Detroit Highwaymen Motorcycle Club. Detroit 1954. As factories boomed and the Motor City thrived, a different kind of machine roared onto the scene, loud, leather-clad and full of fire, led by the city's original biker godfather, Elburn Big Max Barnes. A group of riders founded the Detroit Highwaymen Motorcycle Club, destined to become one of the Americans' most infamous. In the 1950s, Detroit's streets pulsed with rebellion. Young men fresh from the World War II and drawn to the freedom of the open road formed tight-knit biker crews. Barnes, a charismatic gearhead with a knack for leadership, saw the Highwaymen as more than a club, a brotherhood that rejected societal rules. "We'll ride for ourselves," he reportedly told early members, setting the tone for decades of defiance. The Highwaymen are a one-percenter club operating outside mainstream biker culture and embracing an outlaw lifestyle. The term one-percenter comes from a 1940s American Motorcycle Association quote, claiming that 99% of bikers follow the law, while 1% revel in breaking it. Their insignia, a winged skeleton wearing a motorcycle cape and leather vest, bears the HMC emblem, often adorned with a 1% patch to distinguish them from law-abiding riders. Some members earn a lightning rod patches for committing violent acts on the club's behalf. Their motto, "Yea though we ride the highways, in the shadow of death, we fear no evil, as we are the evilest highway," reflects their fearless ethos. Their colors, black and silver, symbolize their dark, unyielding brotherhood. With over 400 members, the Highwaymen are Detroit's largest motorcycle club, boasting chapters in Alabama, Florida, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, Ohio, and Tennessee. Each chapter has a clubhouse for meetings, parties, and events, with weekly gatherings mandatory for all members. Missing a meeting incurs a fine, reinforcing the club's strict discipline. Membership is not open to just anyone with a bike. The Highwaymen select male candidates through a rigorous process. Prospects start as associates or probies, enduring a probation period before earning patched status. Patched members must attend runs like Daytona Bike Week, Biketoberfest, or the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Skipping these events risk fines, expulsion, or worse. Members follow a written HMC constitution and bylaws, with violations leading to penalties, probation, or physical punishment. Before 2004, membership demanded 24/7 commitment, barring outside jobs, according to informant Gerald Peters. After 2004, the club allowed jobs to boost revenue, reflecting their pragmatic evolution. The Highwaymen operate like a well-oiled machine. Each chapter has a president, vice president, treasurer, master sergeant at arms, and sergeant at arms, supported by general members. The national president oversees all chapters, with the Detroit chapter president as second in command. Witnesses name Anthony Clark as the first national president, followed by Gerald Peters and Joseph Whiting. Yet Leonard Dadmore, the HMC's godfather, held ultimate power, making critical decisions from the shadows despite other titles. The treasurer handles dues, roll calls, and finances, while the secretary records meeting notes, roles often filled by the same person. When a member steps out of the line, the president decides the punishment executed by the master sergeant at arms in the clubhouse's backroom. This tightly knit structure fueled the Highwaymen's dominance, but it also hid a darker truth. Their empire was built on crime. The Highwaymen Motorcycle Club is no charity. It is a notorious outlaw organization tied to violent crimes and drug trafficking. This became undeniable during the FBI's massive raid on May 5, 2007. At dawn, Detroit echoed with silence and steel-toed boots as Operation Block and Spoke targeted the Highwaymen's Detroit chapter. Over 150 agents from the FBI, ATF, DEA, and local enforcement arrested 40 members and associates in a synchronized sweep. Among them was National President Randall Bowden, accused of running a criminal enterprise steeped in violence, drugs, and fraud. Enforcers like Gary Jr. Ball and William Wild Bill Keller, known for enforcing the club's fearsome reputation, were also cuffed. Shockingly, a Detroit police officer was implicated, accused of leaking information and shielding the gang. His betrayal shook the department to its core. An FBI spokesman later said his identity remains undisclosed in public records. Operation Broken Spoke, built on wiretaps, informants, and undercover work, exposed the Highwaymen's prowling operations, drug trafficking, money laundering through fake insurance claims, and mortgage fraud worth millions. The Highwaymen's crimes left deep scars on Detroit's communities, particularly in southwest Detroit. Their drug trafficking fueled addiction and violence, destabilizing neighborhoods already struggling with economic decline. In 1977, a bombing orchestrated by Leonard at rival club sites killed an innocent bystander struck by debris, a tragic reminder of the collateral damage caused by their tough wars. Residents lived in fear of retribution, with reports of homes raided and individuals beaten for crossing the club. His crime hurt southwest Detroit, prosecutors noted during Moore's 2020 release hearing, highlighting the lasting pain inflicted on families and neighborhoods. The 2007 raids didn't just cripple the Highwaymen, they sparked a reckoning for Detroit. Community leaders demanded change, with groups like Southwest Detroit United rallying to claim neighborhoods from gang influence. The drugs, the fear, it tore families apart, said Maria Alvarez, a local activist who lost a nephew to addiction tied to the club's trade. Law enforcement doubled down, with the FBI vowing to dismantle other outlaw clubs. Yet the Highwaymen endured, their black and silver colors still spotted on Detroit streets, a sign of their defiance even as communities rebuilt. The raids marked a turning point, but the feds pressed on. Later in 2007, Randall Lee McDaniel, a veteran member tied to drug trafficking and weapons violations, fell in another sweep. His arrest alongside others further dismantled the Highwaymen's inner circle. Then there was Aref Scarface Nagi, a ruthless enforcer whose world collapsed during the May 5th raid. The feds called him a soldier of organized violence, but Nagi's story was more complex. Years earlier, caught in drug and stolen property cases, he turned FBI informant, feeding intel on rival gangs while climbing the Highwaymen's ranks. He dealt, enforced, and bled for the club, all while playing both sides. In 2011, prosecutors charged him with racketeering, conspiracy to commit firearms violations, and narcotics trafficking, landing him a 37-year sentence. Yet in 2021, Nagi was granted compassionate release due to health issues and the pandemic. Reinventing himself, he became a mentor with the Kingsman Project, helping ex-inmates reintegrate, and joined his family's Michigan Mexican restaurant, a stark departure from his outlaw past. The Highwaymen's corruption even reached law enforcement. In March 2008, 4 officers faced charges. Randall Hutchison, a 17-year armed trump veteran, allegedly tipped off the club about a wiretap. David Tomlin, a former Garden City sergeant, reportedly joined the Highwaymen while on duty and lied about it, facing additional drug charges. Michael Ramsey and Dennis Abraham, former Detroit Reserve, were accused of warning the club about an informant. A lawyer, Ray O'Brien, was also charged for lying about a stolen car linked to Highwaymen member Sean Donovan, who faced drug charges. The Highwaymen's dominance bred enemies. Their main rival, the Iron Horsemen, crashed violently, with tensions peaking in 2014. Attacks included a firebombing of the Iron Horsemen's clubhouse and later gunfire at the Highwaymen's clubhouse. Police shut down the Highwaymen's Cincinnati chapter that year, driving them out of the city. In Detroit, the Highwaymen traded blows with the Outlaws Motorcycle Club, vying for control of the streets. The Detroit Federation of Motorcycle Clubs, formed in the 1970s to curb gang wars, remains a long-standing foe, opposing the Highwaymen's outlaw ways. These conflicts, marked by bombings and bloodshed, define the Highwaymen's turbulent reign. After decades of roaring engines, violent rivalries, and FBI raids, what's the legacy of the Detroit Highwaymen Motorcycle Club? Since 1954, they have etched a permanent mark on Detroit's gritty history. With over 400 members in the Detroit chapter, they remain the Motor City's largest motorcycle club. Resilient despite relentless legal pressure, their winged skull logo and motto, Highwaymen Forever, Forever Highwaymen, still inspire fear and loyalty. Beyond Detroit, their chapters span Alabama, Florida, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, Ohio, and Tennessee. Their 1% Ethos has drawn members like James Blake Miller, the Marlboro Marine, who found purpose in their ranks. To supporters, they are labels living free bound by a code of brotherhood. To critics and law enforcement, they are a criminal menace tied to racketeering, drugs, and violence, as seen in the 2007 raids. Culturally, the Highwaymen endure. From the Michigan Avenue Clubhouse to David Clement's raw photography, capturing Detroit's biker soul. As of 2025, they remain active, navigating a world where federal crackdowns like recent Badido's indictments target outlaw clubs. Their survival through bombings, arrests, and live wars cement their legend in a biker culture. So what are they? Freedom-loving outlaws or a dangerous relic of Detroit's past? Their story challenges us to see beyond the headlines at a brotherhood thriving in the Motor City's shadows. What do you think? Heroes? Villains? Or something in between? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, and subscribe for more untold stories from the Motor City. Share this with anyone fascinated by biker culture, and let's keep the conversation rolling. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.